All right, Red Faction. So, another day, another 12 breed. Um, so, Sam is covering today's TWAB. Stuff looking at from this week's story, stuff from last week. But this week, they're going to talk about the exotic focusing updates, Deck of Whispers and Arco highlights, the mid-season armor and weapon preview, and more seasons added to the cutscene archive. So, for Raul from the economy team, one of the biggest challenges for our economy team is making sure the in-game currency required for most of our exciting in-game gear is fair and achievable to players across all skill levels and playstyles. If the required currency is too hard, only players who play the hardest content every week can feel like they can afford something, and it stops feeling aspirational for new and more casual players. On the other hand, if the price is too low, highly engaged folk will essentially have infinite access to the currency in question, which makes getting high level and gear like exotics feel like no big deal. When we made armor focusing, we spent a lot of time asking ourselves what feels fair to players of all types. Then we modeled the prices after the cost of buying the new exotics from the Momentums of Lost Lights. If the price, it was a high price point, but by including a cheaper and more randomized option, we felt sure that if nothing else, we wouldn't accidentally flood the game with exotics until they felt like items were extremely common. Since then, we've had a lot of opportunities to listen to both the community feedback about exotic focusing and collect detailed data about how players feel with different time commitments tend to earn in our own week to week. To make a long story short, we saw that except for the folks who play Destiny 2 a whole heck of a lot, most weeks you won't be earning more than a few Ascendant shards a week. With players who only have a few hours to play, maybe earning one, armed with that information, we've made two important changes to how exotic focusing is priced. First and foremost, we are eliminating the exotic cipher cost for Tier 2 focusing. Focusing was always meant to be a way for players to put in the work and pick what they want, and the slow rate at which players earn exotic ciphers work against that. Secondly, we are reducing the Ascendant alloy costs for both tiers of exotic focusing. Tier 2 will only cost 2 alloys, so most players will be able to get their few extra targeted rolls for build crafting per week, if that's where they choose to spend them. Tier 1 focusing already costs 1 alloy, but we heard a lot of feedback about the cost still felt deep. In all the data about materials, we realized the players don't have enough places to spend enhancement prisms in a meaningful way. So we changed the cost from 1 alloy to 10 prisms. On the surface, the price hasn't changed much, 50,000 glimmer, but for now it will cost less to get an alloy, so you get a semi-target exotic roll. So tier 1 will cost 30,000 glimmer. In closing, here are the new and lower exotic focusing costs that will be implemented October 17th. So, for tier 1, it'll be 10 prisms and 30,000 glimmer. For tier 2, it will be 60,000 glimmer and 2 ascendant alloys. Basically, these are the same amounts, but this makes it so you don't have to spend that extra bit to go to getting a shard, because prisms feel like they can be more easily obtained. Now for Deck of Whispers, as players witness, there's a new feature in Season of the Witch of the Deck of Whispers. Earlier this week, released a new story mode, new story going more in depth and detail around the creation and execution of getting the deck into the game, and then summoning an IRL version of the deck for yourself. Learn more about something truly special in the blog post here to get the actual Deck of Whispers. Now, here's the point that we're going to get into: the mid-season armor and weapons preview. It's time for the mid-season armor and weapons update. Today we'll be delving into deeper to the upcoming changes you can look forward to in update 7.2.5. So, armor changes first. Upcoming Season 22 exotic armor balance changes. For Season 22 mid-season update, we wanted to adjust two exotics that we felt became more hard to counter in PvP. Oh my god, something talking about PvP. Holy. Anti-S wards. Reflective vents now require full class ability to deploy. Following the deactivation of it, your class ability energy is drained proportional to the amount of damage reflected. So if you like send a rocket or a super or like a high powered shot, your class ability energy is drained from that depending on damage, and will no longer provide improved slide. Antaeus Wards was granted too large a benefit for too little a cost. It also suffered from a lack of meaningful counterplay options. By tying the damage reflection of the class ability, we hope to reduce the uptime of the effect and prevent it from easily stacking with the Juggernaut arc aspect. Antaeus Wards users will have to think about their engagements more carefully because opponents can exploit the times their class ability is on cooldown. Next thing, Yon Ahamkar's Spine. Every time I go into trials and I see a hunter, I know one, they're going to be solar. If they're not solar or strand, there's really not an issue. Just saying. Yon Ahamkar's Spine, as you know, gave you basically improved trip mines. So, now, the trip mine's bonus health will be to 70, down from 100, and has removed the 50% damage resistance that it had. Grenade energy is now provided on ability kills instead of damage with ability. Okay, that's perfect because that was a little too easy. These changes to Yonkar's target two aspects of the exotic that we felt were causing problems. First, we wanted to bring its total bonus grenade energy more in line with the other solar ability exotics for the hunter, like Aether's Embrace and Caliban's Hand. This change keeps the amount of energy provide large, but reduces how easily it can be gained. Secondly, we wanted to make it easier to counteract the enhanced trip mine grenades in PvP by reducing the amount of durability that the exotic provides. Hope is that a well-placed trip mine will still offer the hunter an advantage, but a careless one will no longer shift the flow of engagement all on its own. Now, weapons. Weapon balancing, weapon archetypes, submachine guns. So, here's the thing that's going to be talked about that, and here's the reason, before we go into what's actually going on. While submachine guns as a whole generally have been brought into line by recent changes, we still find that many players, especially those on mouse and keyboard, see a little downslide to sacrificing their stability stat to maximum range. So, we always want players to have a choice when it comes to which stat they want to prioritize, but those choices should have trade-offs. Until now, ignoring or even reducing stability was not seen as much of a penalty, and the benefits of range outstrip the downsides. So we are going to make that choice a little bit tougher. The goal of this change is not to make submachine guns feel hard to control at base. That said, if you choose to sacrifice stability or not invest in it, you will notice a difference in controllability, especially at maximum ranges where greater precision is required. So the recoil globally for both mouse and keyboard and console players is going up by 10%, and they have reduced the mouse and keyboard. The stability bonus is reduced the stability bonus from 20 to 10. Now, here's the thing. Now we're going into auto rifles, and this is a big thing with auto rifles. Auto rifles, in general, we're happy to see that auto rifles are seeing more play in PvP, especially in higher level lobbies. Note you're happy you see a Met in there. But we believe the 2-part buff to range they received in Season 22 may have been a bit too much, especially true for rapid fire frames and the precision frame subfamilies, which were already strong. On the other hand, we're not too happy where the adaptive and high impact auto rifles shake out compared to other ARs. So we made some tweaks to separate them a bit. For rapid fire, adaptive, and precision ARs, we reduced their ADS damage falloff scaler back down to 1.6, while we left the high impacts at 1.7. This should significantly differentiate the maximum ranges they are able to achieve and give high impacts room to breathe over precisions, which are currently able to achieve the same ranges without the downsides of needing to be more accurate. For adaptive ARs, we weren't happy with how difficult they felt to use, so we increased their base damage and increased their crit hit multiplier to make them more forgiving while retaining their optimal time to kill. So for rapid fires, the ADS damage fall off is down to 1.6. The adaptive auto rifles have that, but they get a boost to their base damage and a nerf to their crit multiplier. So instead of having 22.8, it goes to 22 3.3, so the damage goes up, but the multiplier is lower, which is still hard to tell because of all that. Precision auto rifles. Reduce the ADS damage fall scaler from 1.7 to 1.6. A MET AR4. In our final changes to auto rifles, we are going to be experimenting with the new freedom of separating zoom from damage fall off that has been given us by moving a MET value from 17 down to 15. In the live game, a MET is currently the undisputed king of ARs for multiple reasons. Its high range, the ability to craft it to have double enhanced consistency perks, the Amalon origin trait, and above average zoom all contribute to the weapon feeling like there's no other reason to use anything else. Reducing the zoom will make the weapon easier to use at closer ranges, where it still has stiff competitions with SMGs like Immortal and Unending Tempest. But it will make it harder to use at long range as accuracy will be decreased, and the aim assist will fall off sooner. This will introduce a trade-off to using the weapon and open the door for other ARs to step in and fill that longer range gap. So they reduce the zoom down to 15. Now, for pulse rifles. Pulse rifles, my bread and butter. While we are generally satisfied with the place that high-impact pulse rifles have found themselves in the recent round of range changes, it has come at the cost of almost all other pulse rifle families swinging heavily negative in terms of effectiveness. As such, we will be making 2 changes to pulse rifles in the mid-season patch. Our explicit goal is to keep the high-impact pulse rifles near where they are now while elevating the other subfamilies back into contention. We'll be increasing the damage fall-off scale to start at 0 range by 1 meter, which means pulse rifles with low range stats, rapid frame, lightweight, and adaptive will see a noticeable benefit to their damage fall-off distances, while pulse rifles with higher range stats, those over 60, like the high-impact pulse rifles, so their range stat in 60, will see a little to no improvement. Combined with the reduction in most auto rifle range, we believe this will allow for faster firing in lower range pulse rifles to have some room in the sandbox. At the other end of the spectrum, aggressive pulse rifles have been overshadowed by high impacts for most of their existence, due to needing to land more shots at the higher critical hit ratio. Plus, also having a longer burst time and much slower body shot time to kill, we are wary of buffing their damage and entering into another high-impact pulse rifle situation. But we believe there is some room to improve their comparative range due to their distinctly low ease of use. As such, we move their ADS damage fall-off scaler from 1.7 to 1.8, which elevates them over high-impact pulse rifles in terms of their damage fall-off distance and give players a reason to take the trade-off in terms of lethality and forgiveness. So, this is for aggressive pulse rifles, right? So aggressive pulse rifles, not high impact. Me trying to find the aggressive pulse rifles. So yeah, so disparity looks like it's getting something. Trying to think of all my pulse rifles, like the aggressive burst ones. So let's see. Well, okay, that one's not. Okay, well, oof. Aggressive. They determine them. Increased ADS damage fall-off scaler. So disparity will be a good pick. These are high impact. What's this? That's high impact. Rapid fire. I'm really trying to think, what are all the aggressive frame. Because aggressive frames have a fire rate of 450, but don't So yeah, so I'm looking for something with a. No, this is different times. 450 RPM. 450. Okay, that doesn't help. Um. Nope, that doesn't help either. Yeah, it's aggressive. Yeah. E. Okay. Aggressive burst. So, Insidious, Velis. Hmm. Velis might be good. Yeah. Okay. So Velis, Insidious, Disparity. I wonder if they're gonna add a new one next season, maybe. So basically, um, so this is in season 20. This is from season 21. Um, this was the change they made, and this is the with the damage fall off scaler now for the mid season 22. So aggressive frames are being brought back to what they had before. Um, this is all the ranges and stuff for the whole buff. Now for fusion rifles, some combinations of perks and damage bonus can allow fusion rifles to operate well outside their intended ranges. Plus, in general, fusion rifles feel like they can reach out just a little too much. So we reduced the minimum damage fall off from 50 to 45, which means the damage fall off will occur more quickly once it starts and will decrease to a lower value than it does currently in live, which should help reduce the instance of feeling like you were mapped well outside the expected range. I like that. This one I'm going to hate. Sniper rifles. The changes to sniper rifles are twofold. First, we wanted to address the issue that sniper rifles, even with moderate estimate investment in airborne effectiveness, still don't feel usable in the air. Yes, because no sniper is going to want to jump in the fucking air. So we increased their base airborne accuracy by 20, which now has them starting at the same accuracy that they had with an Icarus mod pre airborne effectiveness. Further investment in AE will still provide increased accuracy and aim assist. On the other hand, snipers have been bordering on oppressive and high level gameplay, and part of that is because it deals such a high damage that even landing a body shot can push the player into critical health. This felt wrong, as the intent of a sniper rifle is to be high risk, high reward, and having them be so rewarding for missing a headshot didn't feel like it fit the amount of upside they can provide in the hands of a skilled player. As a result, we've decreased the body shot damage that snipers can do as a starting point to evaluate how this change plays out in the wild moving forward. Note, this change also affects their body shot damage in PvE, but in Season 23, we'll be buffing the sniper PvE to a flat 15 to offset this, and increase their precision damage against all targets. So, basically, what they're telling me is all you frickin' assholes that complained about snipers still body shot damaging you and putting you in crit or killing you, you realize a lot of this is because you have us have so much frickin' flinch. So, decrease the airborne effectiveness penalty. Yes, because the sniper is really going to jump in the air to try to snipe you. Aggressive snipers decreased the body shot damage down to 135 and increased the crit hit multiplier to 3.5. Adaptive ones decreased the body shot damage but increased the crit multiplier. Rapid fire frames decreased the body shot damage and increased the critical multiplier. So, let's talk about that. Okay? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, you having the snipers with the body shot. Okay, cool. Can you do something about the flinch? No, you know what instead? You have to have this perk. Yeah, that's just great. I love that. I love having to go away from using snapshot or moving target or having opening shot or having no distractions to have a different thing. But now, before we talk about perfect float, let's talk about shotguns. Yeah. Like snipers, we wanted to make shotguns with minimal AE investment feel more usable. So we have matched their inner accuracy of slug shotguns to what they were at pre AE with an Icarus mod. Pellet shotguns have a more unique situation, as pre AE they had substantial accuracy penalty, which would deflect the entire pellet spread, at which time was also random. We have since removed that entirely and replaced it with an increase to the spread angle. So the effect of jumping on this weapon's behavior would be more predictable and could be displayed in the hipfire reticle. As it stands currently, their actual accuracy is the same as it is on the ground, which cannot be improved. But to be fair to them, we have also decreased the pellet spread penalty by 20. So, precision slug shotguns will now be as accurate as they will now have be if you have a Icarus mod on it before they start showing the pre-airborne effectiveness stuff. And increase the airborne pellet spread of pellet shotguns by 20%. I'm honestly going to say that that it's good for pellet shotgun users and the slug shotgun users. I don't like the sniper change just because it feels that it's a big oh yeah no here because not many people are sniping in PvE because when you look at Nightfalls, there's no barrier mod to them. There isn't. Um, you don't have a single sniper that like exotic sniper that has a barrier intrinsic. So unless you're gonna do that next season, that's the only thing I can see you doing with doing the buff to PvE. But let's talk about perks. Um, Perfect Float. Perfect Float has strong benefits, but the duration was too short for something that improves stats and requires extended combat. So the base duration has been increased to 10 seconds, and the extended duration has been increased to 12 seconds. If you know what Perfect Float does, which I have to find something that has Perfect Float. Hold on, give me a second. Opening up Dim again. Where is my Senu? Seriously, where's my Senu? That's Feeding Frenzy. Where is this one? Perfect Float. Being in combat for a moderate time increases your airborne effectiveness and reduces flinch until you are out of combat. So, the base duration of that is going up, and the extended duration is going up to 12. Kickstart. Kickstart was a most popular damage perk on fusion rifles, and it allowed them to have a natural damage buff and faster charge time without a difficult activation cost. We have reduced the base damage bonus provided by that perk. So if you have Kickstart in something, you might as well just find something else. Future stuff. We have a host of PvE tuning changes. We don't want to share too many specifics because some still have the possibility of shifting during testing, but we can give you guys a sneak peek. So, increase the base PvE damage for glade projectiles and snipers. They've already talked about the sniper one. Increase the damage against miners for pulses and autos. Greatly increase the damage against champions for Revision 0 and Vex Mythoclass. Why Vex? I don't understand Vex. Are you like going to add like a specific thing to it? We're also very excited to get the glaive rework into your hands, including some changes we've made to the glaive classic exotics to make them more effective and enjoyable. if you have any thoughts, here you go. Cutscene archive has been updated again. This week we are bringing the following seasons into our cutscene playlist. So you get Season of the Worthy, Season of Arrivals, Season of the Hunt, and Season of the Deep. This was my favorite Destiny season, Season 11. Some stuff going on, all this stuff. Movie of the week, art of the week. So that's this week's TWAB. So, Red Faction, if you enjoyed it, I hope you did. I am going to see you guys probably on Monday. More Spoilerman. And stuff like that. So, have a good one, folks. See you.